Got it.
Perfect.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome in, everyone. Thank you guys for joining us today. My name is Frank Duplashan with T-Shack. And with me today is our co-host and my manager, Sarah Eleanor.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Today we're going to go over some of the resources that we have available for you guys on our website, answer program questions, and kind of give you guys some one-on-one time to learn about T-Shack and kind of learn how everything is situated as far as accessing any of our documents, brochures, things like that. So looks like we've slowed down on people joining in. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So first things first, I apologize in advance. We do have a couple of ways to get to our website. One of the ways is tshack.org. I know we call it T-Shack, but it's spelled TSAHC. So tsahc.org is one way to get to our website, but also you could go to readytobuyatexashome.com. And I know it's a mouthful, but it's a little bit easier to remember if you're just kind of bumping into a home buyer or prospective client. So readytobuyatexashome.com or tshack.org. The two ways you can get to our website. Okay. But now that we're here, always say the best place to start is your section. So today we're going to go over the lender section. We're going to go over the majority of the resources and the important stuff for you guys to know. But before we get into that stuff, let's just start with an overview of the homebuyer programs. So when you click overview right here, it brings you to a page that goes over our options for our homebuyer programs. And from here, it'll actually lead you to some of the other things I want to show you later, whether it's your frequently asked questions, interest rates, program options. It's just another way of getting there. This overview also has our lender training resources listed here, our marketing resources. And so it's another hub for the majority of the stuff I'm going to show you today. So if you forget how to get to it, I always say just click overview and go from there. Okay, so this is a great overview of our programs. So let's go into our program options. So when you go into our homebuyer program section, it goes over the two umbrellas that we have first. And the two umbrellas for our program, just so it's not confusing for you guys, we have our Homes for Texas Heroes program, which is for teachers, firefighters, EMS personnel, and people considered Texas heroes by the Texas legislature, and the Home Sweet Texas Home Loan Program, which is literally everyone else. So sometimes people can get maybe they misheard something, or someone tells them that the program is only for heroes when it's truly for everyone. It's truly for everyone. We do have added benefits for heroes, but it truly is for everyone. That's a great thing about our program. It gives this page also gives you a small overview of our underwriting guidelines, but we'll get into the more in-depth stuff and where to find that in a second. I like this section also gives a great overview over the MCC program, which is something near and dear and important to my heart. And I won't waste you guys time talking about that for hours, which I definitely can. But we will get into where those resources are located as well, and kind of your jumping point if you have further questions for that program and how to reach out to us. Okay, but let's go back to this lenders page at the top. The next most important page, if you click lenders at the top, is today's interest rates. So you guys are going to get a great lesson on the 101 way to decipher our interest rate chart. So if you click lenders and today's interest rates, you'll see this chart that lists both our grant and our 3-year deferred forgivable second lien programs. The chart lists the minimum FICO score, the government loan types, or government and conventional loan types, depending on what program you're looking at. And it'll also show you the first mortgage interest rate depending on the DPA percentage that you're receiving. Okay. And a common question we get on this page is, does NA mean you're out of funding? That's not what NA means. We're a non-bond program. You'll see that designated right here next to your options. Non-bond meaning that our programs don't run out of funding. However, they are tied to the secondary mortgage market, which means we're only able to offer what's available that day. So every day these rates will change. So I always suggest bookmarking this page or signing up to receive our email updates, so you're always aware of what our interest rates are and if they're going up, going down. You'll be getting those updates daily. And if you save them, you'll be able to see the trends of what was it 6 months ago? What was it last week? You'll be able to see that in those previous emails. Something that's also important about this chart is that we have another program that's a cause of some confusion is our conventional below 80% AMFI program. I'm going to take you guys to the income limits and the guides, but just know that we have two different conventional programs. It's bifurcated. We have one for people with moderate to moderately high income and one for people with low to moderately low income. It's two separate income limits, which is why it's separated like this. So as long as you're working with someone who is getting a conventional loan, then that's when you have to determine, is their income above or below a certain limit to determine if they're getting the rate for the above 80% or the rate for the below 80% program. There's no additional math you have to do. You don't have to take 80% of their income limits. And I'll show you guys where those income limits are located in a second, okay? But there's an important note, if you ever forget, it always says right here that due to market volatility, pricing for some options may have been unavailable. So it's great if you have a home buyer that's saying, why isn't this program available specifically? You can honestly just copy and paste that. It's something that we've already typed out for you guys to kind of explain how the program works. Just to clear that up, we don't run out of funding. If it's not there today, it could be there tomorrow. It's really depending on the market. All right, so this is where I'm going to pause because I've had a lot of coffee today and see if you guys have any questions so far. Please don't hesitate to type them in the chat. We're here. Sarah's here helping me out. Sarah, do you have anything I missed or something that you want to kind of add to this section? Because it's something we get questions about often.
I think you covered it well, Frank.
Oh, well, thank you.
I don't see any questions in the chat feature,
Okay.
but they can certainly unmute and ask as well.
At any point, I love questions. So if you guys have a question about something we're looking at, please put it in the chat or let me know.
I put something in the chat. I'm not sure why it can't be seen. I was certified with TSHAC, but for various reasons, I hadn't been able to use it. Is there a training that we have to do every year for that certification, or once we're in, we're in?
So as far as and I apologize, there may be confusion on this because there's a couple of different parameters. So if we're talking about training, as far as training goes, our training system keeps track of your training completion for up to 2 years. So if you've completed training within the past 2 years, then yes, we'll still have a record of that. Something else that it could be is if you're referring to your access to the lender portal, each time you get logins to the lender portal, if it was with a previous company, they stay with that company. Please do not use them. They will not apply to your current company. And then lastly, if you're referring to being listed as a preferred LO, which I'll show you guys, we do allow loan officers who have closed at least 4 loans in a rolling, I believe it's 24-month period, correct?
12 months.
12-month period. If you've closed 4 loans in a rolling 12-month period, you're allowed to add yourself to our website for free referrals. So if the rolling period continues and you don't show up on the list as closing 4 at that time, then you wouldn't be listed on the website anymore for referrals. So I answered all those questions just to make sure I answered yours. Did I answer your question? I might have even missed it. Just check.
Thank you.
I got it?
Yes, sir.
Great question. Any other questions? Oh, I'm sorry. I do see that. I thought this was general DPA, not just Texas DPA. This class is specific, or this training is specific to the TSHAC DPA program. I apologize. There was some confusion on that. This is specific to TSHAC in Texas.
Sorry, Frank. I think that I can't see the Q&A, but I can see the chat because I'm not a host. So if there's questions coming in on the Q&A, I can't see them. I apologize.
I'm looking at the chat.
Oh, well, I do see that question about the training now, but I didn't see about the TSHAC specific.
Yeah, that's weird. It didn't show up for me either. Yeah. Oh, maybe one of them was a direct message. Okay, one of them was a direct message. That makes sense. Okay, that's us, guys. That's us.
All right.
Frank, I did it in chat and it was to everyone.
Okay,
Okay,
So-
awesome.
good deal. So if you guys if you want to ask a question in the chat, make sure that it does in the to section where it's highlighted in blue, make sure it says everyone so that I can read the questions aloud and everybody can hear the answer.
Mhm.
So is the AMFI pertaining to the median income? So yes, AMFI stands for Area Median Family Income. If they are above 80% of the area median family income, they would have to qualify for the higher of the two interest rates we have to offer for the conventional loans. If they are at or below 80% of the area median family income, then they get the lower of the two interest rates. And Frank, income limits and guidelines is next up on the agenda. So maybe we just go there now and show
I
them.
was just going to say that because we're getting into the good stuff. So my favorite section of the website is when you click the lender section, of course, under overview, clicking income limits and guidelines. This is where the vast majority of all questions can get answered. So let's go there. So first, when you get to income limits and guidelines, what's important is that there's this sign up link at the top of the page. If you click this sign up link, it'll take you to a registration page when my computer loads up. There we go. Where you can sign up to get those email updates I was talking about with the program guideline changes, interest rate daily changes. You sign up here and enter your email address and you'll be able to get those. However, if we're on the income limit and guidelines page, since we were just talking about it, let's start with our income and purchase price limits. So I just want to open that up and do a quick run through, very quick run through. So when you open up our income and purchase price limits, please don't touch anything at all. Just if we look at the first page, right? Very, very simply breaks down exactly which income limits to look at depending on the program you're applying for. So first you have to know what you're applying for. So if you're applying for DPA only, let's click that first link. It's going to take you to this chart that shows each county, counties in each area, and it's going to then list your income limits and then your below 80% income limits for just these counties listed on this page. Okay. A common misconception that we see is that people don't see a county listed here specifically, and then they assume that they have a lower income limit, when truly, if a county is not listed on this first page in this list, you just use this first row. It says all counties not specifically listed below use limits on this row. So for example, the Valley in South Texas, a lot of East Texas, West Texas is not specifically listed, so their income limit will be 106. Okay. And something else that's important about our down payment assistance only is you'll see on the right here, there's no purchase price limits. So when you're using our down payment assistance program, there are no purchase price maximums. Okay. But going to what we were just talking about, if we scroll up, you'll see that there are income limits for the at or below 80% AMFI conventional program. So if we're trying to see if our home buyer specifically qualifies for that conventional loan, we can click this and it lists every single county in Texas individually. Okay. So if you're in a specific county and you want to know if your home buyer qualifies for that conventional program, you look at this list. So for example, Bastrop County, someone would have to be below 88,240 in order to qualify for the below 80% program. There's no additional math that needs to be done to these numbers. You're not taking 80% of these numbers. These are the income limits themselves. If they're below that, they're good to go for this specific program. Okay. All right. So I see I got a couple questions.
So basically, the one thing I would point out, Frank, is if they are above this income limit, particularly, that means that they would qualify for the above 80%, the higher rate. And so if you can go back up to that initial chart and zoom in again, then you would basically be looking at the blue columns for that. Like it kind of reverts back to the general income limit for all of our other programs. So that's if they're over the 80%, then you go over to the blue column and make sure that they fit that number.
Correct. And so that's a great idea to come back to this page because it's kind of laid out here now that we see it all in one line. So same example for Bastrop County. If we have a home buyer who we know is going conventional, we're saying, okay, do they qualify for the lower rate and the lower MI? Is their income below 88,240 in Bastrop County? If it is not below, if it is not below 88,240, then that means it would need to be below 137,875.
Right.
So if it's not below this, then it has to be below this. But if it's above 137 as well, then unfortunately the qualifying income is too high to use the program. Okay, so it's all on one line for you for these counties that are specifically named, but for other specific counties, you'd have to go through the list.
And now might be a great time. I mean, if we want to go to the next chart and talk about targeted areas and why those targeted area income limits are higher.
I mean, it's specifically there. It's almost like they've looked at our outline today.
I know.
So that's a great question about targeted areas and where are they? I'm going to get you exactly to that tool in a second, but I want to just give a quick flash of the MCC program income limits and why they're different and what to look out for. So the MCC income limits work the exact same as the DPA ones, except you'll see that the income limits are broken down in the household size here because the MCC program qualifies off of household income. So you see the income limits change here. And also I want to point out that there are purchase price limits for the MCC only program and the DPA MCC program. So if an MCC is involved with your file, you have to use this page to determine the household income limit and make sure your purchase price is below the max for that county, okay? So we always want to make sure, if we go back up to this first page, that we're clicking the right link and looking at the right income limits, okay? If you're doing MCC DPA, make sure you're clicking that middle link. All right, now let's talk about targeted areas for a second.
Before you hop on to targeted, I just want to make sure that people understand what household income means for TSHAC. Household income for TSHAC means anybody that will have ownership interest or anybody that will end up on the deed. So there may be other programs that you're familiar with that you have to include, anyone over 18 in the household, and that's not the case with TSHAC. Household income is anyone that will end up on the deed.
Correct. And to make it even better, if I wasn't clear, household income is only for the MCC or DPA MCC program. If you're doing DPA only, we only go off of qualifying income. We do not go off of your household income at all. So that's just another important distinction when you're calculating income for those programs.
Perfect.
All right, let's get into targeted areas. So we have targeted areas resources because people want to know what's up with those higher income limits, higher purchase price limits. Where are those areas, right? So we have this tool. If you're on income limits and guidelines, you can click targeted area resources. Let's see how fast this loads while we're here. And it gives you an overview of what targeted areas are and how it affects your file. And then we have this cool targeted areas map that our marketing team, mainly Katie, had developed for us, and it's amazing. So let's go ahead and open that up. And
targeted areas are basically economically distressed areas of the state, and those are determined by census tract codes and provided to us by HUD. We have not gotten the most recent updated census tract codes yet. They've not been passed on down. So right now we're still working off of the 2010 census. But basically they're allowing people to make more money in those areas and still qualify for our assistance. It's like we're incentivizing people to move into those areas to hopefully help revitalize them a bit. But yeah, so we created this map because sometimes we do get questions from folks wanting to know where those areas are so they can look for a house in those areas. So yeah, go ahead and show them, Frank.
Great explanation. I always like zooming in on Austin because Austin's the place people say has zero targeted areas and there's no areas of opportunity. So it may look that way from a distance, and please, it does take a second for the map to load fully for the entire state. You have over 200 counties. It's a lot of counties we got to load up. But once it gets fully loaded up, you can actually zoom in on the city. Let's keep zooming. Here we go. And as you zoom in, you can see these orange areas. These orange areas are going to be your targeted areas. So that means that if anyone purchases a home in this area right here specifically, it'll give you your tract code when you click on it. You can actually use this tool to not only just search the map to actually see what's available as far as targeted area wise in your city, but you can also type in an actual address and go directly to an address to see if that address is targeted. So I like introducing this tool to people. Granted, these are the older track codes and they will eventually be updated. But if you'd like to take a screenshot or print it out or whatever you want to do to have an idea in your head of where they are, so if you just want to keep it up, just so you know if a realtor asks, this is a great tool to go through and just kind of zoom in on your specific area. We have also all kind of different cool overlays, and you can play around with the map. It's actually really, really cool, guys. If you don't like the layout that it's currently looking at, it has so many options. You can change colors. It's a really cool map. I suggest everyone take a look at it at least once to see where those targeted areas are in their area.
And it will show you the street names. We made it so that you could see the street names. The other thing that I want to mention is that, again, the main benefit that buying a home in a targeted area provides is that it allows the buyer to make more money and still qualify. So you saw those higher income limits that Frank showed you, but they do not have to purchase in a targeted area. We get that question a lot, thinking that they have to find a home in a targeted area. So our programs are statewide. It's just that if it happens to be in a targeted area, it allows them to make more money and still qualify.
And have a higher purchase price limit if you're doing MCC.
Higher purchase price limits as well.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. That was a great detour. That's exactly where we're going next. Let's go back a bit. Let's go back to lenders, income limits and guidelines. And when we're on this income limits and guidelines page, a couple of more important things to note is that we have FAQs for our non-bond program in general, FAQs for the second lien, FAQs for our MCC program, which are really important if you want to get in depth in that. Our program guidelines right here. And then one of the most important documents that you could click on, step-by-step procedures. So let's look at that really quickly. The step-by-step procedures, if we zoom in a little bit, go over the programs. So if you're doing non-bond DPA by itself, MCC only, or combined DPA and MCC, if you're doing one of those three options, those are your only three options, it goes over your underwriting guidelines, it goes over the documents required in your pre-closing checklist, it goes over your fees, how the loan is sold. All of this information is all in one document. You cannot go wrong if you just open this document and follow it step by step. Everything will be done perfectly. I can promise you. This is one of my favorite resources because it answers the vast majority of questions.
And Benjamin may be able to hop in a little bit later if you guys have questions about the process of using TSHAC with Southwest funding. I think the step-by-step is helpful to you so you kind of know the outline of the process, but it may be that Benjamin and their team do the majority of this work for you.
Oh, correct. For the most part, I believe you guys might not even get to step 4, but even the resources on the first page alone and the last couple pages just kind of, it answers questions some people have about how the loan is funded. This document as a whole kind of goes through the extension fee costs. It covers a lot of the possibilities and things that could happen with your file. So it's just a great resource to have.
I agree, Frank. Yeah, the stage and status is helpful. So if you wanted to go look up your file in the pipeline and you saw a certain stage or status and you didn't know what it meant, this document would be helpful in defining that for you.
Yeah, it's a huge help. It's a big cheat sheet, really big cheat sheet. And then the last two things on this page we'll get to is going to be who is a Texas hero. Really quickly, this is a quick document. If you wanted to get into the technical terms or the phone numbers you'd have to call or the email or online links that are available to verify someone's status as one of these professions who is considered a Texas hero, this is a great document to have. Also, the approved homebuyer education providers. It's been updated recently. It has several new online education providers added to it. And these are all the other homebuyer education providers that are approved to offer our programs or offer our homebuyer education for our programs, excuse me. Okay, let's get back to the website. Let's go back to lenders, guys. And let's go over to lender training. It's another one of my favorite sections. If we go over to lender training, I actually want to start with our short how-to videos, just because they're really cool and they're important, okay? So our how-to videos kind of cover a lot of the questions about whether it's the process or kind of deciphering things. So one of our most viewed videos is how to interpret our income limits, how to check the status, how to make a reservation. Some of these get kind of technical, but specifically the income limits and how to check your loan status are two very important videos. So if you ever get lost again in the income limits, you need a quick 3-4 minute video on how to decipher it. He said you don't have to take 80%, or you do. Just watch the video again. It's just 4 or 5 minutes, and it'll run you back through exactly what I just said, almost verbatim. I can promise you. Okay.
Because Frank did the training.
Yeah, because I did the training. And then we have some additional optional trainings here. One of my favorite being the MCC training webinar we did not too long ago. We had, was it over 400 people on that webinar, Sarah?
Yes, it was a very large group of people. Mhm.
Very large group of people, very large group of people. And in that webinar, we went specifically into the MCC program, and it was a deep dive, very deep dive. I love taxes and tax talk. It's a great webinar if you really want to get into the MCC program, how it works. Also, there's one on the 3-year deferred forgivable second lien. If you have specific questions about that. We have a train the trainer program, which is a great webinar where if you complete the webinar as a lender, you get access to special homebuyer marketing tools. We give you access to presentations with scripts, whether it be in English or Spanish, that you can give to homebuyers about our programs. So taking that webinar is kind of the next step on learning how to present our programs to homebuyers. So it's a great resource to also get free marketing resources from when you complete it. And then another very good training is our avoiding top errors training. This goes over the most common mistakes that are made, and just watching this will definitely put you steps ahead. But lastly, probably the most important, is our required training. So based on you guys' access, you guys will all be required to take the Module 1 training. It's just the basics. It goes over the overview of our programs, program requirements, how to qualify someone, and it's required before you can start offering our programs, okay? So if you haven't done it yet, please go and sign up and complete Module 1 training. And I'll just take you there because we get a lot of questions about it. If you click the link, it'll actually take you to the, oh, never mind. Yeah, I'm logged in. Let me log out. If you click the link, it'll take you to the TSHAC training page where you can just sign up. You just click sign up, and you would be able to type in your name, email address, and password, and then you can sign up to complete the training. No one creates a login for you for this. You create your own login for the training, okay? All right. Did I miss anything, sir? I don't
think so. There was just a couple of other little nuggets that I wanted to throw out there.
Yeah, of course.
To try to sell people on taking the MCC training specifically. I thought that it was really well done. Frank and our manager, Donetta, of the MCC program helped put that training on. And especially in today's environment where we are seeing interest rates on mortgage loans going up and up, and the mortgage credit certificate can really help with that. So basically it can help effectively lower someone's interest rate on their mortgage because they're getting 20% of their interest back on every year when they file their income tax return through this MCC tax credit. So it's a great tool. You can use that income to help them qualify for the loan as well. So not only are they getting some of that interest back, you're also able to use that money to help them qualify for the loan up front. So it's a big tool. I just have to give those two little nuggets because I figure people are looking for ways to help people get into housing right now since it's becoming less and less affordable. And then also the Train the Trainer program, like Frank mentioned, those PowerPoint presentations, there's also one in there that's geared toward other real estate professionals. So if you guys wanted to host, a training for realtors in your area that may not understand the program or want to know more about it, create a referral highway between you and them by teaching them about these programs and showing them that you're the expert on them and you know how to use it, so that realtor person that has a client may send people your way when that client needs down payment assistance. You can become the down payment assistance or mortgage credit certificate expert in your area. So those are the two little nuggets.
I mean, you
Sorry to
said it.
derail.
I was trying not to open the faucet because if I turn on the MCC
know, it's like-
faucet, I can't turn it back off. Because if we're dropping nuggets about the MCC program, one of my favorite things about the MCC program is that even after you get it, if you refinance, you can keep it. So even if you refinance your mortgage, you don't lose your MCC. You get that tax credit for the entirety of you living in your home. And I can show you where the MCC refinance form is located if your home buyer needs to refinance and wants to keep their MCC as well. And also the other great thing about the MCC is that if you're using it by itself, there's no credit score requirements. It's just the income limit requirement. And there's also no residency requirements for just the MCC program. So I know there's brokers probably all over the state on this call. If you're working with any underserved communities that maybe their residency doesn't fit the DPA guidelines, their residency status does fit the MCC program because there are none. Okay, so no matter where you're from, as long as you're going to be paying taxes, you can use the MCC program. As long as you're a first-time home buyer, you can use the MCC program. So it's really great. I could talk about it forever. That 20% credit on your interest is so important right now, guys. Interest rates are going up. It's really
Definitely
important. It's important.
Michael has a question. Can we use the down payment assistance for down payment and closing costs? So maybe you tell them the 3 different things that can be done.
Awesome. So with our down payment assistance funds, you can, yes, use them to cover your down payment. Yes, use them to cover your closing costs. But also what's awesome about the down payment assistance funds is you can actually use them and get a principal reduction or have some of your earnest money refunded as well. I know that comes into play a lot with the VA loans, with the earnest money being refunded. But our down payment assistance is flexible, whether you need it for down payment, principal reduction, or closing costs. It can be used for that. You just can't use our funds to pay off your student loans or your credit card debt. Can't do that.
Right.
Has to go towards the home in some way.
So basically anything they paid outside of closing, if there's a huge overage, they can get that money back. And then anything additional could be principal reduction. And when I was helping our compliance team, when we were really busy during the boom years of the last couple of years, I was seeing that a lot on USDA and VA loans where people were getting at least their earnest money back, if not a little bit more for like credit card or credit report rather, fees, things like that. So it's pretty crazy that they're, able to buy a home with nothing out of pocket.
Yes.
So anyway, all right, well, we can move on, Frank.
All right. So because I just mentioned it, let's just kind of skip ahead to because we're just talking about it, our existing borrower resources. So if you click lenders on this box, there's a homepage for existing borrower resources, but the most important 2 links that are used, or the most commonly used links, are the links to request a reissued MCC and a request to get a copy of a borrower's MCC. So if your home buyer uses the MCC program, we keep a copy of their certificate in the lender portal. You guys would, I'm assuming, reach out to your lender portal representative and they could pull a copy of that MCC, or the home buyer or yourself could go to request a copy of an MCC here by emailing MCC compliance. If you're requesting a reissued MCC because you've refinanced, there's a link right here for our reissuance. And it's an online application where they would enter the information from their certificate. And then from there, they can pay to refinance and we issue out a new MCC form. Okay. So just to wrap all this up, even if your home buyer refinances and you helped them get an MCC, this is where you would go. You click lenders, existing borrower resources to request a copy of it or to get it reissued if they refinance. Okay. All right, so let's go to something that's awesome and we don't talk about enough, honestly, is our FAQs. So this page, Sarah worked so hard putting together. This FAQ page or website has all of our guidelines and all of our previous FAQs, current FAQs, all information in one place where you can just search. So my favorite thing to do is search our most common questions. So if I just type income, it'll bring up the income limitation guidelines, lender guidelines for someone receiving bond, DPA, what are the income requirements for the homebuyer FAQs. So this is a great tool to kind of say, okay, what am I looking for specifically? If I typed in cosigner, does it want to make me do there we go. It brings you right to the section where we talk about cosigners and non-occupant co-borrowers of our guidelines. This is a really great tool if you have a question. It brings you right to the information. I promise you. So this
There's also a little, can you show them if they happen to be on a page on our website? The little feature in the lower right-hand corner.
Yes, I can. Let's get back. So if you're on our website, another way to get to that is you'll see our questions box right here. You click the questions box. I know you guys are familiar with this. This is awesome. It actually just gives you this is funny you bring this up, Sarah. I accidentally clicked this the other day and the answer for my question was right here in types of loans. I had no idea. I was trying to go somewhere else, and then I just ended up copying and pasting this and didn't have to go anywhere else. But this question bar will bring up the exact same thing. It'll bring up some of our most commonly searched for guidelines. You can also search by keyword right here as well. Income, bring up your income limitation, lender guidelines, the exact same information. And so if you forget to click FAQs, this is right here. And a link to this section is also at the email signature of all of our emails as well. So this is a really helpful tool. If you have a quick question, you can just type in your keyword here and it'll pull it right up. And thank you, Sarah, for putting that together.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're on our website again, let's go ahead and click lenders. And now let's get to program comparison calculators real quick. So because we have a lot of options, we have a lot of programs, I love these tools here because these tools kind of break down exactly what the benefit would be to your home buyer in a perfect case scenario, of course. So on our loan comparison calculator, you can compare up to 3 or 4 loans side by side. You can put in a credit score, 640, home purchase price, 325. And then on your loans, you can pick, okay, I want to do the above 80%, 2%, and the below 80%, 3%. And you can compare them. So this calculator will then, let me zoom out a little bit. There we go. This calculator will then show you the current interest rates, total loan amount, and give your homebuyer an idea of what the additional down payment needed might be, as well as what their principal and interest payment might be for the loan, okay? Another great thing about this is you can add in another loan. So you can click add in an FHA loan, and now you have 3 options. So you have your 2% grant here, and you can compare what's the difference between the additional down payment and the payment monthly and also their monthly mortgage insurance. You can see the difference there. So this is a great tool to kind of show a home buyer a quick glimpse of what the difference in our programs would be depending on their loan amount. But another great tool is going to be the MCC savings calculator. This is personally my favorite calculator. And with this MCC calculator, you can enter in your loan amount. It's always like entering in the max purchase price for my area, which is 401. Interest rate of, let's just say 7%. And 30 years. So this calculator will give you an idea of someone's MCC savings. And I love this number. This is always a number I like showing people. So over 30 years, the home buyer will receive $111,000, almost $112,000 back in credit rebates over the life of their loan. So if they don't ever sell the house, they just live there and keep on living and enjoying life, they'll get $112,000 back from their MCC. So it's a great example of the long-term benefits of an MCC and why DPA is great. It helps people get in the house, but an MCC is a long-term benefit. It's really
And that 5588 that you see in year one, that 5588 is the amount of money you can add to their overall income to help them qualify for the loan up front. That can make a pretty big impact on someone's mortgage amount, or if there's debt to income ratio issues, then that can be helpful as well. So,
and I know you guys are going to ask, I was waiting for the question. Our program has a 20% credit rate, so there's no maximum credit, okay? The only thing limiting how much of that 5588 they can receive would be the homebuyer's tax liability. Other than that, if the homebuyer has a tax liability higher than 5588, you could add 5588 into their income. And I know that would help them get approved for more.
Michael has a question. Is it tax-free? So it's not, this is a tax credit. So it is 20% of the interest that they're spending on their mortgage. This is an IRS tax credit. So it is helping them get 20% of that back by lowering their tax bill or what they owe in income taxes by that amount, dollar for dollar.
For qualifying purposes in DTI, it's not counted as income when you're using it for qualifying, like reported income. It's just counted as qualifying income. If you look on the 1003, right, there's actually a place where you can put MCC income in on your 1003, so that it would go there. It wouldn't fall under your taxable income though. But for layman's terms, from beginning to end, you guys would request an MCC be added to a loan. You do your calculation where you determine, or you can come here to determine what their first year would be. Their first year in this example is almost $5,600. So we'll just say $5,600. And then you look at tax return to determine if they're eligible for that full $5,600. And if they are, you can add it in as income. It's non-taxable. And then at the end of the day, when the home buyer closes, you've submitted all the TSHAC documentation, the home buyer will receive a certificate in about 6 to 9 weeks after they close, and they type in the numbers on that certificate online when they file their taxes. And then it's the craziest thing you've ever seen, guys. When you go to file your taxes, if you don't have an MCC, you go to file your taxes, it'll say, this is how much interest you paid, and this is how much we're giving back to you. And they just give you a 20% rebate on whatever you paid in interest. And I get that back as a refund personally, because I have an MCC. So the majority of the time I wouldn't have a refund at all if it wasn't for this program. So this program is a lifesaver for me because I can save this money, use it to pay down credit cards, things like that, right? Go on vacation. It's a great program, and this is for the life of your home buyer's loan. So it's a tax credit program that goes off of your federal income taxes. It's nothing to do with your property taxes, and it's a non-taxable income because they're giving you your own money back. It's just a rebate of your money. They're just giving it back to you when you file your taxes. Great question.
So go take the MCC training and learn more so you can sell, because I think it will help you get more people into houses. So it's a win-win. I'm
hoping that the 5,500 and 111,000 are big enough numbers to get some people interested in it.
Excited. Yeah.
I'm just hoping. Just hoping that's big enough for some people to get interested. All right. So let's go back. We're going to click lenders again. And let's go ahead and go to our marketing resources. So under our marketing resources, quickly, something that I always forget to mention, so I'll start there. We have our digital marketing resources, and here we have website logos that can be used for social media posts with guidelines for those as well. Email and social media images that can be used here. And that's a question we get ever so often. So you don't have to go to our website and try to find a logo. If you're making something, we have all of them listed here in different sizes and colors and things like that. And if we go back, if we go to our marketing brochures and flyers, this first option, click. There we go. You can click here to request the brochures for free. We'll send up to 50 of each brochure out to you. I always joke and say we're a nonprofit, so it's not coming next day, but I promise you we'll have it delivered. You just put your contact name, title, all your information, and then you select what brochures you want, up to 50 of those brochures, and we'll send it out to you. It's really that simple. We'll go ahead and send out the brochures to you. But if you want to have an idea of what we offer, you can kind of go through these, and we have PDF versions that can be downloaded, especially for our fillable flyers. So I know they say fillable, so that means that you have to unfortunately fill them yourself. When you download them and save them, you should then have the ability to edit them. Most people see that and think that we have the technology to click it and edit it in our website, and we're not there yet, unfortunately. Hopefully one day we can get there. But currently you'd have to download it and save it, and then you can edit and put all your information on it. But where is my MCC flyer, Sarah? Where is it?
Down a little bit. There you go.
All right. Since we were just on the subject, and hopefully it's still fresh on your mind, one of the newer fillable flyers that we just came out with is our MCC flyer. It's a great eye-catching tool for people just to kind of get them introduced to the concept of an MCC if they've never heard of it. It tells them about how it reduces their federal income taxes and gives them the benefits of how they save thousands, how it works. They get a tax credit for 20% of their mortgage interest paid. And this is a great fillable flyer. You can put your information at the bottom. Seem like an expert about the MCC program. Most people don't know that there's a 20% interest rate credit out there, and they'd love to hear about it. So this is a great tool to market yourself. Sarah, if we go back here, do you have any that you suggest showing in this flyer or brochure, anything that stands out to you?
No, I think, they pretty much speak for themselves. It depends on the audience, obviously, that you're trying to market to. And I do like the downloadable fillable flyers just so that you can customize them a bit more. The ones that we send to you are pre-printed, and we don't have the ability to co-brand them for you. But there are spots on the back of those brochures for you to add your business card. But the downloadable flyers are always like a really nice thing, especially if you can add your headshot and your company logo just to make it a little bit more personalized. But any of these resources are great. So I think you can kind of explore at your
They also work great for event landing pages. I know I see that on Facebook every now and then. Someone's having a homebuyer event, they'll use like a flyer as the event landing image. They work great for that. Very high resolution. Okay. So if we go back to lenders, so in our marketing resources, something else that's awesome is that you can host a Realtor CE training. And in these in-person marketing, or I know it says in-person, but we do these virtual as well. You can host an Overcoming the Down Payment Hurdle class. And this class is a CE class for realtors. It's a great way to build your book of business in your area. We help you advertise the class, and whether it's virtual or in person, we get realtors together for you in your area, and we help you guys work together, build a relationship, and then we train them about how our programs work. And it's always great. It's always tell lenders to hang out as well, because it's a great refresher course for you guys. And it's a great opportunity for you to kind of put yourself out there throughout the state, especially if you choose to do a virtual one, because then realtors can join from wherever. So if you don't have a presence in El Paso, request a TSHAC CE virtual course, and someone from El Paso may join and start that relationship with you. So it's a great way to kind of build your book of business throughout the entire state. And if you go to this page, you can just request to host a class, and it'll bring you to our class scheduling software where you can request a TSHAC hosted class, and then it'll bring you to our calendar and show you our available dates. All right. So that was our marketing opportunities. We went over our existing borrower resources. So let's go real quick. I showed you the homebuyer education options we have, but the approved homebuyer education providers, rather, excuse me. But this is something we get a question about often. So I just want to go here. So on this page, on this initial homebuyer education page, it does list 3 online classes here, but these are not the only 3 online classes that are available. Remember, I showed you that page that had several other options. Also, there's the cost associated with them there. We only require one home buyer to take the education. So you don't have to make both people pay the $35. Only one person has to take it. And then here's where we have our resources for our in-person classes. So if you click this Find a Class Near You, it'll take you to another one of our websites called TexasFinancialToolbox.com. And here you can just type in the name of your city, Austin, and it'll bring up all of the resources in your area that offer in-person, over the phone, other different homebuyer education options. So it's a great tool for people in your area if they want to know specifically. Maybe they don't want to do it online. This is a great tool to kind of see those other options in your area. So that's our homebuyer education. Yes, even if you're doing MCC, someone's required to take a homebuyer education class. That's one thing that's very valuable. People are 33% less likely to fall behind on their mortgage when they take a homebuyer education class. So it's another reason why we mandate that people do it. All right, and now let's get to the bread and butter, the Find a Lender page. So this is where everybody's bread gets buttered. On this Find a Lender page, we list the top lenders in the state. We list the top performing loan officers by region. We list top loan officers by county. And we have a list of approved mortgage companies. So this one page is the golden goose, right? Because if you've closed 4 loans, we've gone over this. If you've closed 4 loans in a 12-month period, you can be listed here as a preferred loan officer. You can pick your county and be listed in up to 5 different counties on our website. So if a home buyer picks this, goes here, if a home buyer clicks here and then selects their county, you'll show up in this list. So let's just pick Bandera. So in Bandera County, these lenders are listed, or these loan officers are listed, excuse me, in Bandera County, and you'll see there's only 8 results. So just me personally, if I made it to this list, I may pick Houston or Harris County, but then I'd also pick some counties like Bandera where there's only 8 people listed, so I can make sure I'm being seen by people when they're clicking their county. I wouldn't necessarily want to list myself. Let's just out of curiosity, how many people are listed in Harris? Only 10? That doesn't make sense, Sarah. What's going on?
Well,
it's by page. Okay. I knew something was up. Okay, it's 10 per page in Harris County. And I'm assuming there's 11 pages? 27 pages. Okay, so there's 2,700.
The good thing, though, that I will mention for those of you that are wondering, well, how am I ever going to be seen if I'm on the last page? These results are randomized every day. So they're not alphabetical. So they're, every day it changes when someone does a search for that particular county. So we were trying to make it as fair as we could.
Yes, every day it changes. If you see a name at the top of this list, they're not always at the top of the list. They won't be there tomorrow. I can promise you that. Promise you that. But this is where people start. And this is a great resource to be listed on. I promise you, you will definitely get referrals. People will call you. And let's go back. So that's listed by county. Once you make a certain threshold to be typically around the top 30 loan officers, top 40 loan officers, we start to list people that are the top 3 in each county. So you can see this map here, and a lot of people get referrals from here as well because you're an expert in that specific county. Or that area, that region of Texas. And if we go back,
specific section is updated once a year, and it's based on the previous year's production. So it's the top 3 per region based on last year's production.
And
the next section that Frank's going to talk about is updated more frequently.
And that's actually a good note. That's actually a benefit, because if you make it to the top 3 in your region, you're up here for a full year. That's actually a added benefit. Whereas this next place we're going is a little bit more competitive. It's updated a little bit more often. It's updated quarterly. And this is going to be our top 20 loan officers in the state. These are going to be the people that have closed the most loans in the state. But this list is dynamic. It changes every quarter. Some people, brand new people get added. And some people that have been on there forever fall off. So it's a pretty competitive list. I strive for one of you to get there eventually. Somebody I'm talking to today will be on this top 20 list. I love seeing new faces here. Be like, who's this? I've never heard their name before. I love that. I love that, especially when you're closing a lot of loans and I don't know who you are. That means you're not calling us for questions all the time. You know what you're doing. You're educated. You know you've taken training. You have a great team behind you, and that makes me excited. So this is where everybody wants to end up, of course, is on that top 20 lender list. And then finally, because it's going on currently, I want to just bring this up shortly. We have an event called Housing Connection. It's an event for housing counselors where we educate them on and help them get their continuing education credits on becoming either becoming a housing counselor or learning more about rental housing counseling, affordable housing. Through this program, we sponsor other nonprofits and give them grants. It's a great program. And you have the ability to sponsor this program as well if you like. So I just wanted to bring you to this page to show you the Housing Connection sponsoring. There's different sponsorship levels, and these sponsorship levels also let us put your information out to all of our people in our network and advertise you as well. So each sponsorship level has its own benefits. I advise you guys to check this out as well. It's a very good thing you're doing for housing counselors in the state by contributing to this program. So just want to bring that up as well.
And these counselors counsel home buyers that may or may not be ready, or they're looking to buy a home and they need some help. And, you know, if they see your name, they may just refer some home buyers to you that are in their pipeline. So
Correct. Very correct.
I think you covered everything, Frank, right? I'm looking at the
Yes, ma'am.
agenda. If we want to, we're kind of getting close on time. We're right at the hour. So we want to open it up for some Q&A real quick before we wrap it up. Does anybody have any questions? You can feel free to either type them in or unmute yourself and ask.
Please yell at me. I like it. Scream something out at me, please.
How many of you all on the call have started working with Southwest Funding or have done some TSHAC loans already? Nobody
Can
wants
you hear
to
me?
talk this morning. Yes, Benjamin.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi, I just want to touch on a couple things real quick for Southwest Funding.
Okay.
Frank and Sarah, thank you so much for this. It's been awesome, so informative. And a couple of things since I've been doing these for the last 6 months or so pretty frequently. I wanted to let the people listening know that we're the ones, Southwest Funding are the ones that are going to register the loan with TSHAC. All we need you guys to do is pay attention to the guidelines, the fees, and the rates, and obviously take the homeownership courses as need be. Other than that, we registered the loan with TSHAC. TSHAC follows the AUS guidelines, so there's nothing extra there. And I wanted to also let everyone know that you can sign up to get these rates emailed to you every day, correct?
Yes. I was just on there. It's a great point. If you click lenders, income limits and guidelines, so if you scroll up a bit, it's right here. There's a link that says sign up.
Yep, thank you. Because oftentimes they'll say, oh, what are the rates are. Also, Southwest Funding, when you want to lock in the rate, it usually takes me about an hour or so to get it. As long as it's in my pipeline, within an hour, I can get it registered and locked through TSHAC and Southwest Funding, and our locks are good for 39 days. That lets us get the loan from start to finish 39 days, and then we get it to our investor. So that's sort of the lock process with Southwest Funding. The only other things I want everyone to pay attention to are the fees, and there's also a FICO hit. If it's below a certain FICO limit, 639, I think it is, there's a 0.500 origination fee that's automatic. Exactly. This screen is invaluable. Frank, thanks for showing that. It's right there, but oftentimes that's sort of the thing that the brokers will miss. Where did this fee come from? So just pay attention to the guidelines. We follow AUS. Our lock is 39 days. You can sign up for rates online, and pretty much we take care of the rest.
Which is a blessing. That's awesome. You guys have literally the easy part. You guys have the easy part. I always this is my favorite example. You're walking in Walmart and you're saying, "Hey, is your credit over 620? Do you make less than 106? You qualify. Let's get you to Southwest Funding." You're doing the easy part and you're getting them out of there. So it's a blessing that Southwest Funding is taking care of that. And I really
Yeah,
do appreciate you guys. I really
They
do
catch
appreciate
the brokers catch the fish and
you. Mhm.
Ben fries them.
Yep.
That's right. And also, I wanted to let everyone know that you list the T-Shack second on section 4B of the URLA, the 1003. That's where you put it in as a non-community profit. It's real simple. I mean, you list it on there. It runs through AUS. There's no hit. There's no difficulties. The CLTV is higher. It's perfect. I mean, it works so great. It's invaluable. Also, I wanted to mention that when you get the rates, when you look at the rates and say you're doing a 4% FHA non-heroes on the rate sheet, that rate, say it's 7% for the day, we lock it in. That's the rate you use for the full loan. It's the second's forgivable after 3 years, but that is the rate we use. You don't use, oh, I'm using FHA, so it's 6.25, even though the T-Shack second is 7%. No, the first loan is the rate you use. And I don't want anyone to think differently, because oftentimes they'll be like, oh, I didn't know the rate's that high. Well, as Velda used to say, this money isn't free. So everyone has to make their piece of the pie, and really the rates aren't that bad compared to today's rates anyway. So everyone that's used this, it's gone seamlessly and it's a great thing. So I just want everyone to pay attention to these rates when they come out every day, pay attention to the guidelines, and Southwest Funding will take care of the rest.
Thank you, Ben. Yeah, I will say that we answer that question a lot, about our rates being a little higher than market. And the biggest thing that someone can do for a home buyer that's considering down payment assistance is to sit down with them and show them the side-by-side comparison, number one, of what it's like without down payment assistance and what their loan would be like with down payment assistance, how much money they'd have to come to the table with in each transaction, and then what's the break-even point. If their mortgage payment is $50 higher with down payment assistance, but we're giving them $20,000 up front, how long will it take them to save $20,000 if they put away $50 a month? And are they going to live in the house that long? If they're not going to live in the house that long, then they're still ahead of the game if they use T-Shack with a higher rate. So that break-even point is really an important conversation to have, especially for those folks that are really rate sensitive.
I couldn't have said it any better myself, Sarah. The only thing that I'd add to that is, and I don't believe we went over that, so let's just cover it right now to be sure. With the second lien program, that second lien, like Ben was talking about earlier, there's no interest charged on that second lien. There's no payments on the second lien. It's fully forgiven as long as you live in the home 3 years and do not sell or refinance. Those are the terms on that. And the second lien is trade exempt as far as documentation is required. Whereas with the grant program, that first option, it's only available in 2% DPA currently, but that grant version is not a second lien. It's that's just your first mortgage rate, but it's forgiven in 6 months. So if granted, it's a little bit more difficult if your home buyer needs more than 2% to qualify, but with that 2%, you could then refinance after that 6 months and not have to pay it back and possibly get a lower rate if the rates go down as well. So that's just an added benefit to the grant program, is you could help someone get in the home and also they could refinance without having to pay it back. But with the way things are appreciating in Texas, that 2, 3, 4, 5% second lien is still viable, very much so viable. With the way that your homes appreciate, or our homes appreciate in the state currently, in 3 years, you'd have the value of that second lien plus some. So it's a great tool, regardless of which one you use. And I always like to say, I'm here for you, especially if you have an MCC program. I'm also here for you if you have a DPA program question. So any question, it's MCC or DPA, we're here for you. I'm going to go ahead and, if we haven't done it already, I'm going to go ahead and put the home ownership email in the chat.
Good idea. Yeah, I should have done that. Thank you.
And we're going to, that's spell that right? I did, okay. And we're going to be there for you if you ever have any questions. Please email us, especially if you're going through that underwriting or any processing. As far as the qualifying process of it, please give us a call or email.
All right, y'all, last opportunity to ask some questions live and in person.
We're here for it.
Thank you,
At least
Frank and
somebody
Sarah.
tell us a funny joke or something before we go.
A very funny, appropriate joke, because this is being recorded.
Okay, I got one for you before we end. So
Okay,
someone's
give me a mom joke.
typing
Give
up.
me a mom joke.
How do you make an egg laugh?
You crack it up.
Close. No, but you tell it a yoke.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that. You went the other direction. Okay, I wasn't expecting that.
All right, guys. Well, we did have one question about where this will be posted. So we will likely download the recording. It takes us a minute to upload it to YouTube. And then we will likely send it out, or have been send it out on our behalf to everybody that RSVP'd. We'll figure that out on the back end then.
Yep.
And yeah, so we'll send it to everybody that attended and also that just was on the distribution list, so that they can watch it if they weren't able to attend.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Don't forget, MCC gives you a 20% credit on all these rates you're
He's still
seeing.
going. He's still going.
I'm still going. 20% credit on all those rates, guys. Don't forget about it. Call me if you got a question.
Well, thank
Thank
you
you,
guys for all
Frank.
attending.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you,
you,
guys.
Benjamin. I appreciate you attending today. All right, guys, we're gonna close it down. Frank, are you the one that has that ability, or?
Oh, yeah, that is me.
Okay. All right.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye, guys.